In this thought-provoking episode, PT breaks down the power of vulnerability in leadership, a concept often misunderstood as weakness. Society may expect leaders to appear invincible, but PT reminds us that no one is a superhuman. True strength lies in being open and transparent, especially before God and those we lead. He emphasizes the daily need to rely on Jesus, as none of us were created to navigate life on our own. Vulnerability allows leaders to connect authentically with their people, demonstrating that they too face challenges and rely on God's grace. PT draws parallels to Jesus, who endured pain and understands our struggles. Leaders can take comfort in knowing they have a Savior who emphasizes with their burdens. He also tackles the balance between transparency and privacy, reminding listeners that maintaining boundaries doesn't mean hiding. It's about projecting what matters most. PT shares his personal journey of learning patience and appreciating the unique strengths of others. As leaders, it's not about forcing everyone to do things your way, but about discovering and nurturing their God-given talents. Next question will kind of deal with that vulnerability spirit. So what role has vulnerability played in leadership, and how did you balance transparency with maintaining authority?
Because I'm in ministry, there will always be vulnerability. And what I mean by that is that you get to a point at the time you've accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior that your whole life is in His hands. What that means is that you have to be vulnerable to ask God for help every minute and every day. Do you understand? We try to be our own men and women, but it's not really scriptural. Do you understand? We are God's, and He owns us, and He created us, and because of that, we didn't create ourselves, So no leader should be afraid, especially a Christian leader, of being vulnerable before God and also before people. Let me expatiate on that. At times we look at people from a perspective that they are superhuman. There is no superhuman being. At times leaders set themselves up, especially in Africa, where I come from, as if they are invincible. Nobody is invincible. You understand what I'm saying? So the challenges you face, if I'm not facing it right now, maybe I've faced it before. Do you understand? If there are temptations that you face, if I'm not facing that right now because I'm more matured as a believer, it doesn't mean that I've not faced it before. And the Bible tells us concerning Jesus that we don't have a high priest or advocate that was not tempted or that does not even understand our feelings or the things that we go through. Because in every area we have been tempted, it too was tempted, but without sin. So which means that if I'm going through pain, Jesus understands pain. Because he too went through pain. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he went through pain. So these are things that today leaders should be transparent enough to let people know that, hey, I also face these challenges, but I'm working on it on a daily basis. I say something in church when I'm talking about marriage. I say it's push me, I push you. People laugh and all that. What I'm saying is that as you have disagreements in marriages, I do also. Yes, I've been married for this many years, but we do. It might not be as often as somebody who just got married 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Fine, we have been married for almost 35 years. There are things now that I've learned over those 35 years that I don't want to keep on repeating. Or else people will ask you, I say, okay, what kind of a leader are you? Have you not learned something in this? A friend of mine shared a joke. He said to his wife that, hey, we've been married for almost 40 years. Can we look for other things to fight over? Because we've been fighting over the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I get that. What he's saying is that, come on, let's grow. Let's grow up. Let's leave this fight. Maybe there are other fights. Let's pick those ones and let's outgrow these ones because so you can be transparent. For the nature of what I do, transparency is important. Do you understand? I don't want to live a double standard life. I want to be transparent as possible, but at the same time, I want to maintain my privacy. Maintaining privacy does not mean that I'm not transparent. Do you understand what I'm saying? But there are a lot of things that I share. When I minister or I preach, and people say, "Whoa, and what did your wife say?" I say, "But it's the truth." So I say, "What's the problem there? I'm not lying." That if I stand there and I say to people, "Oh, I've never laid hands on my wife, I've not beaten my wife." If I beat my wife every day, won't she sit there and the camera is on her and she'll say, "Oh, say something else," I say, "No." I say, so those are not issues for me. Do you understand? So it's important that we do what we preach. It's important.
Very true, very true. Now, we've talked about vulnerability. We've talked about how transparency is key. Talked about failures. Now, I know as a leader, you've definitely probably had to make some difficult decisions. But has there ever been any difficult decision made under your leadership that you felt may have or should have been dealt with better? So could you give us just, an example of how that decision just didn't go as planned? Got you thinking.
Yeah. As a leader, I believe part of our duties is not just to see everybody as ourselves. What I mean by that is that I may have some peculiar strengths and you may have some peculiar strengths. But where I have the strength, I don't have to believe that you should have the same strength. You understand? Which means that every person is different. Yeah. And as a good leader, you should be able to appreciate that and deal with the people based on that revelation, that you have. In the earlier years of my pastoring, I was so passionate about the work, that I felt the way I'm doing is the way everybody else should do it. Do you understand? But I've realized that things don't work out like that. Yeah. Do you understand? There are times I've called people out, do you understand, in the passion of it, saying to myself, after all, what I'm saying is the truth. Yes, it's the truth, but I could have handled it in a better way rather than calling them out. I could still have called them one-on-one and say to them, "Hey, what you did is not right, what you did is not right." Those are the things that comes with age and maturity. Do you understand? So if there are decisions like that, that I've regretted, yes, those are kind of, the decisions. Also, it's one thing to appoint someone into a position, or maybe you're working with them in the office or anything. When it's time to let go, maybe because there is lack of performance or productivity, or we just have to let go of the person, what I've tried to do, as I grew older, is to understand that the fact that someone cannot do a particular task or job does not mean that they are useless. Yeah. There are some other things I need to just find out what other thing can this person do that will excel with it. Do you understand? I lacked a lot of patience, as a young leader, so I didn't take time to do those things, but now I'm able to look back and say, okay, fine, this person might not be able to play the keyboard well, but if I keep on talking to him, he might be a very good drummer. Do you understand? So why don't I just put him on the drums, and then you see them glow and excel because suddenly they found their niche and their area that they love more than the earlier one, So.
The takeaway. Leadership is a journey of humility, grace, and constant growth. It's your girl Tammy, and don't forget to send your questions or anything you just want to talk about with PT to the email insightswithpt@jesushousebaltimore.org. Per usual, stay breezy, stay fly, and all that good vibes. We'll catch you out every Friday at 2 p.m. Peace.